is the only absolute. Yeah. Give thanks and praise for life. Give thanks and praise for life. Yeah. King Selassie, the only king we ever liberate with a wife. Yeah, man. All things is bright and beautiful. Oh, you better know. Flee yourself from youthful lust. Accept your realities and move on ahead. Never you run down no vanities. Just heal up Emperor Selassie instead. Yo, in your heart, never you go along and cherish no bitterness. The first life in flesh is always highly blessed. The wild street is busting out of me, I guess. Well then, in a Babylon the wicked confused and perplexed. From the east, south, north and the west, them never know say King Selassie is the highest, the highest, the highest. Me tell you say love is the only absolute. In a righteousness the earth shall heal its produce. Love is the only absolute. Tell your loot and fire is Selassie, brand new recruit. Love is the only absolute. Yo, in a righteousness the earth shall heal its produce. Love is the only absolute, the only absolute. Yeah. Come on and tell there is peace on earth. When worse come to worse, I suffer no hurt. Where there is no blessing, the people are cursed. Yo, me a go bum the pastor. Well, who take poor people, wealth and splurge? If God so love the world, he would have destroyed the church. Bring down the mic castle from the sky to the dirt. Emperor Selassie come first, every day I rehearse. Yo, too much gunshot and too much color burst. Down in a dig get up your hunger and thirst. Yo, burn them out, yeah. And tell them say, love is the only absolute. In a righteousness I the earth I go heal its produce.
Greetings, brother Amir. What's up, brother?
Peace, y'all. Greetings.
Peace.
Evening.
So I wanted to play this song while people were still jumping in. I'll just play a little bit. It's Black America by Common. And I think you probably heard me play this one a couple of times, but I feel like it really will set off this intention. So I'm gonna play that, and then after that we can get right into it. Is that cool?
Beautiful.
Cool, brother.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Honor for this conversation.
Sure.
Here we go again. Trayvon will never get to be an older man. Black children, they childhood stole from them. Robbed of our names and our language. Stole again. Who stole the soul from black folk? Same man that stole the lamp from cheap black smoke and made the whip crackle on our back slow. Made us go through the back door and raffle black bodies on the slave blocks. Now we slaves to the blocks. On them we spray shots. Leaving our own to lay in the box. Black mother's stomach stay in the knot. We kill each other, it's part of the plot. I wish the hating would stop. War and a battle with us. I know that black lives matter and they matter to us. These are the things we gotta discuss. The new plantation, mass incarceration. Instead of educate, they rather convict the kids. As dirty as the water it flint the system is. Is it a felony or a misdemeanor? Maria Sharapova making more than Serena. It took Viola Davis to say this. The roads are the help and the gangsters is really all they gave us. We need Avas, Ta-Nehisi's and Cory Bookers. The salt of the earth to get us off of sugar and greasy foods. I don't believe the news or radio stereotypes. We refuse. Brainwashed in the cycle to spin. We write our own story, Black America again.
You know, one way of solving a lot of problems that we've got is letting a person feel that they're important. And a man can't get himself together until he knows who he is and be proud of what and who he is and where he comes from and where he comes from.
Hot damn Black America again. Think of Santa Bland as I'm staring in the wind. The color of my skin, they comparing it to sin. The darker it gets, the less fairer it has been. The hate made, I inherited from them. But I ain't gon' point the finger, we got anointed singers like Nina, Marvin, Billy, Stevie. Need to hear them songs, sometimes to believe me, who freed me. Linking a Cadillac, drinking a battle rap. So is it Godspeed that we travel at? Endangered in our own habitat. Them guns and dope, man, y'all can have it back. As a matter of fact, we them lab rats. You built the projects for, now you want your hood back. I guess if you could rap, you would express it too. That PTSD, we need professionals. You know we're pressing you. It make the pipes bust from schools to prison, y'all. They trying to pipe us to your political parties and fight us instead of making voting laws to spite us. You know we from a family of fights us. Fought in your wars and our wars. You put a nigga in Star Wars, maybe you need to. And then maybe we'll believe you. See black people in the future. We wasn't shipped here to rob and shoot ya. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Our men and women are created equal, including black Americans.
You know, one way of solving a lot of problems that we've got is letting a person feel that there's something back. And a man can't get himself together until he knows who he is and be proud of what and who he is and where he come from. And where he come from.
We are rewriting the Black American story. 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 We are rewriting the Black American story.
Bless. All right, greetings everyone. Thank you everybody for joining us. Definitely a very crucial and very impactful, pivotal time in our history right now. And we want to thank everybody taking time to join us tonight and just being a part of this intention. I want to introduce my brother, Amir, who we share a lot of vision in common. And this brother's doing amazing work. And I just really want to honor Amir for everything that you're doing especially for the youth right now, and everything that you stand for and what you represent in the African diaspora. Extra Ancestral was honored to rock with you in this way. We stand with you, brother. So I'm gonna really let you introduce yourself and really set it off tonight. I'm here to listen, and I'm thankful to be a part of your research and also the mission that you have and what you're doing for the African diaspora and also for the movement right now. So without further ado, I just want to introduce my brother Amir, Project Knucklehead, and brother, set it off. We here.
All right, peace. Thanks for that, Khalil. Peace, Extra Ancestral family. I'm just so honored and beyond. Like, I think Rachel and Khalil, y'all been the most consistent thing in my life for the past, year and a half. Only thing I've seen weekly, aside from like my job. So to have this opportunity to build deeper is really great. I definitely remember some of y'all from classes. So, I'm going to go through a presentation or more like a conversation cipher. And, I encourage all of you, just any questions at any point, just unmute yourselves and speak up. Throw it in the chat box if I'm talking like this, then I can see it. But otherwise, I have no problem with you just interrupting. I'm from Jersey. We just kind of roll like that, So, but yeah, I have a lot I want to talk about and share with you all because this is a rare group. I think the Extra Ancestral family, due to the great teachers and the knowledge they share, but also, what you all bring is just a great family to build with. So I'm excited to share this. All right, so I'm gonna could I do a screen share real quick, y'all? That'd be possible? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna share a Prezi. It's like online, and I have some videos and stuff here and there. But if any of the videos get choppy or anything like that, just let me know, and we'll bring it back.
I made you a co-host, so you should be able to screen share now.
Nice. This is the first time I've ever been a co-host. Cool. Allow, yes. All right. Share computer sound. I'm sorry, it's asking me to open up my system preferences and allow Zoom to share because I just reinstalled. Later, boom. All right, there we go. Sorry about that, y'all. There we go. Share computer sound. Boom. All right, can y'all see my screen? Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is the Prezi. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about this journey that I've been on called Rhythmic Reparations that has allowed me to just learn and connect a lot with the knowledge that Rachel and Khalil are sharing. And also the Rhythms of the Exodus Project that really, I guess Rhythmic Reparations is part of the Rhythms of the Exodus Project. Really what we call a cultural kinship program because we have different family members all across the world, across the Afro diaspora. I share a bit about myself, but this is what I call, a cultural justice project. And, it's a lot of cultural defenders on here, so y'all know what I'm talking about there. So a little more about me. I guess it's like 4 hats that I wear. I guess really 5 because the researcher is really heavy in this project as well. But first, I'm an educator through Project Knucklehead. Project Knucklehead has been around for 8 years, but I've been teaching for about 12 years, just working with youth. And I love this top picture here because this is in Miami actually where our program started. And one of the staff in the program saw, said, wow, looking at these pictures, you wouldn't think everyone in that picture had a felony, including myself. And these are all youth, none of them over 18, children, got into trouble and different things. And I challenged that and I said, well, what is someone with a felony supposed to look like? Does that mean they can't smile, they can't, have a personality, can't have joy? And I know with them here, these boys, a lot of them actually, music is what brought them joy. Music is what brings them joy. And we started a program for the youth in their juvenile justice facilities. And so they were incarcerated youth and we brought them instruments. And that's what brought them joy. So that's through music and education. That's one hat I wear. I'm also an author and a speaker. I've written for Time Magazine, Washington Post, and other publications. And I wrote a few books. I might read from one today if we have time that shares a bit more about me. Civil rights lawyer, that's like what pays the bills actually. So I work with the ACLU of Southern California. Did work in Florida and Alabama. That's just some of the clips. Been featured a lot. Actually, we was playing the Common song, There I Am with Common. That's at LA County Jail. We did some work on a project together. And also with the co-founder of Black Lives Matter, Patrice Cullors, did some work with her and Jesse Williams in a separate documentary called America Divided. So y'all can check those out. And I'm gonna share the link to this presentation afterwards if you wanna refer to any of the information. But been doing this work for about 7 years now. And then last but not least, I think first, I'm a musician and storyteller. I just call it a griot, right? We have some griots here and we're in that tradition. And I think actually a lot of my quote unquote professions, as a lawyer, you're a griot, you have to tell stories. As an author, of course, you're a griot. But it's just in our culture. And, I'm looking forward to building more about that concept. So Afro music and ancient contraband, and this Rhythmic Reparations project that I'm on that has allowed me to just connect deeper with the extra ancestral family. So it came about, well, first of all, it's a 400-day journey that I'm on, and I'll talk about when I started, maybe even share some of the video, but it came through acknowledging that I'm lost. It's really that we're lost, or I used to say we're lost, but meeting folks like Khalil, Rachel, Ashley, like they have that knowledge of self, that and awareness, cultural awareness that they've been blessed to get through their path. But I'm an African-American, Black American. My family's been here for over 10 generations. And we still actually own the land that our ancestors were enslaved on in South Carolina. And through cultural genocide, through laws, and I have the evidence of the laws that I'm gonna share, but through this cultural genocide, we don't know that aspect of who we are. We don't know our original language. We don't know our original traditions, some of our original traditions. like the drums and different things. I mean, interestingly enough, like some I got from my grandmother who, like, she just grew certain plants in the garden, like greens and okras, that actually came directly from Africa. And she's been, you know, generations have been passing down for centuries. But I started this project because, you know, through really Extra Ancestral and other movements similar, I saw that there was something deeper within the diaspora, but I just didn't know what the fuck it was. So I just was like, all right, I want some of that, you know? And if y'all here and y'all part of Extra Ancestral, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You feel the power of this culture, but I was just really ignorant. So that's why I started it. But also, so we were kidnapped, tortured, and deprived of our medicine. And I have one of my, I think go back there. Sorry about that. I have what is one of the most important studies I think we'll ever see. Sorry, I clicked out for 1 second. Now I have to click all the way back. There we go. Right here. This is a really important study. This is like ancient science that our ancestors knew. But basically in 2016, the study found that with drumming, the brain changes from beta waves, you know, which is our typical state of mind, to alpha waves, which are like calm, relaxed, that produce that euphoric sense of being, that basically, you know, if you meditate, that's that state you reach, right? After you get into that rhythm with your breathing and different things. But research shows, you know, once you're in that alpha state, you're relaxed, you're super learning, increased serotonin, and just all these things going on in your brain that make you function better. And it actually boosts your physical health, your immune system, you know, it releases emotional trauma, all of this from drumming, right? And the only other thing that does this we see is like meditation and then certain drugs, right? So this shows you that our ancestors, I mean, this study just came out in 2016. Our ancestors knew this shit for thousands of years, right? And this is something you know, we use for grants and just apply to say, hey, you know, drum is really important. But I was aware that there was some power there, and I wanted to tap deeper into that. So that's why I did this Rhythmic Reparations, that when I set out, it required at least a half hour of drumming daily and a half hour dancing daily. So either a collective hour of both. So we need deep healing through our culture. And I know that's one of the missions of Extra Ancestral, right? Because of the historical trauma that we've experienced. So right now I'm going to share a quick video that talks about some of the connections that I was seeing. I made it about 2 years ago when starting the Rhythms of the Exodus project, and it connects some of the dots that you all, I'm sure, have done years ago, but I started connecting them around like age 30 after just traveling the world and experiencing things. So here's some of that video.
Ever notice the similarities between music and dance of people of African descent, no matter where we are? Over 12 million Africans came to the Americas in one of the largest forced migrations in history. Our ancestors were separated from their land, but it's evident we couldn't be separated from our souls. Music, dance, and cultural traditions have played a critical role in our resilience, healing, and resistance for centuries. They have been our means of liberation, community, ancestral connection, and spirituality as we survive the traumatic oppression of the Americas. My name is Dr. Knucklehead, and I'm launching a project with fellow artists to tell a story and build a movement. We're about to take you on a quest through more than 50 countries and 180 genres of Black culture. Our Rhythms of the Exodus project will reunite the African diaspora through music projects, a documentary series, a traveling museum exhibit, books, community events, and all sorts of creative content. Check out our interactive map and multimedia mixtape at upliftment.org. Explore the genres and countries compiled so far with videos, playlists, lessons, and other resources. This is a lifetime project to explore ancient soul, honor our ancestors, and unite distant relatives. The concept came to me while practicing salsa moves that naturally melted into a hip-hop and African dance freestyle. They're clearly related, and we're about to launch a lifetime project tracing the blood. As we travel, we'll collaborate with local artists for workshops, shows, and murals. We'll also provide youth with...
Oh, I can't stop at the youth part. Oh, too late. Sorry about that. I was just going to talk about the youth and how we plan to provide youth with these portable music studio devices, which we've done, and I can share more of that as well. But yeah, that video is over 2 years old, and I haven't watched it in a while. It's interesting to see how the project has just grown so much beyond then. Like one way I said there's 180 genres of music we want to explore. And now I know there's many, many more. Actually, we have already over 250. So you saw there, we were noticing these commonalities that are kind of like spiritual DNA. You know, if we look at, I'm sure you all know, I mean, Capo Fresh, right? That's a movement about this intersection. But whether you're looking at a capoeira circle in Brazil, you know, breakdance circle, cypher, or salsa rueda, you'll see similar aspects of it. This is a over 200-year-old picture of capoeira circle that I'm sure many of you have seen before. But if you know, 2 centuries later, that could be a breakdance cipher, right? So I wanted, you know, that I knew there was some deeper connection that they couldn't suppress. That's why, you know, whether it's the Bronx or Bahia, Brazil, that we're doing these dances and that movement is manifesting. Okay, before I go to that, actually here, sorry about the super thing, but also what made me start the project was I came across this timeline right here in National Geographic, actually, about 3 years ago. And it's just the timeline of African roots music, and it goes, you know, from the griot traditions you see here in West Africa starting, and then it ends about 2000 at reggaeton and different things. But in between, you know, all the things, the blues, the jazz, the hip hop, you know, American music up here, other music down here, you see tango, rumba, you know, samba, merengue. And when I saw this is actually when I learned that tango had African roots and that merengue had African roots and influence. Even though tango, the word itself, tango, is an African word, right? And just, you can see it next to rumba. You can see it's a similar language. Samba as well. So I wanted to explore these connections. Here, this timeline, they, you know, color coded it by traditions, like the spoken word traditions are in brown, African-American music is in orange, right? And you see here preaching, scatting, ragtime. These are all traditions that went in our music. And really, you know, a lot of them had revolutionary liberation forms. Like jazz itself is really about liberation, improvisation, right? Blues is about our struggle. So it goes on and on. So I wanted to explore this more, and I knew it was deeper. So what I did was this. I created my own timeline. And some of you may have seen this banner, and I definitely have some I can share with you with even more styles. And I'm still working on the design, so that's why it looks a little overwhelming. But, you know, I color coded it by different things, whether it's African, Afro-American, Afro-Latin, Afro-Caribbean, Afro-European, and wanted to share how, you know, of course, a lot of what we have, it comes from Africa. And this is all pre-colonial, pre-Babylon, right? Some of these traditions, who knows how long they go back. But these are some that I know, and actually through this journey, I've learned a lot more. I mean, every week with Extra Ancestral, we'll learn many more. But, you know, going through time, whether it was the field hollers or the work songs in African-American places, that's what the red means, or the capoeira or the marimba music in Latin America, you know, cumbia going in Colombia, samba, bomba. There's bomba in Puerto Rico and bomba del Choto and chota in Ecuador, you know, Garifuna music all over. And we're just in the 1700s, right? But you'll notice, you know, as we learn to speak and write, Black poetry, Sonorocho in Mexico, just different styles, Calypso music in the Caribbean, all types of music in Caribbean. And Bata, that's actually supposed to be red. Changui, you know, just different styles of Cuba. And you'll actually see here, like these are some of the first folks that played the Son Cubano music. This picture's over 150 years old next to Kool Herc and the DJ. So this is like an Afro diaspora jam where you see, you know, Celia Cruz and Aretha Franklin jamming, you know, and Roberto Gil and all sorts of people. So it's very deep, and I'll share the links where you can like look at this and see it. And I actually have the interactive map where you can like click and it tells you the styles. But, you know, through the journey, I've been able to study some of these, like Festejo in Peru. Supposed to go to Cuba a few times, but things happen. But the cha-cha-cha, you know, which I learned, this brother right here, where is he? Enrique. created the cha-cha-cha literally to help people who weren't African dance easier with the accent on the one, you know? So I learned about how our music evolved to allow access and different things. Kwe, that's from Guyana. Khalil, you might know about that. I interviewed my godfather about that one. And then in the 60s, you see here, there was just this explosion of music, right? Roots reggae, rock creole, soca, you know, chicha, just all sorts of stuff. Go-go music, Philly soul, you know, so this is like the research and different things. And it comes all the way up to 2019 where we got trap and Afro punk and all of that stuff. So I knew it was deep and I wanted to explore. So that's what that was about. And I'm still exploring it. Now, what really, I guess it's like the fire, what makes me angry through all of these genres right here, all this style, all this beautiful Black creativity that survived, this, in spite of all these laws all over the diaspora to criminalize and take away our rhythms and suppress it. So
1 second, Amir.
Yeah.
So as you're going into this next session, I really want to invite people to really pay attention to where we're going right now. So
absolutely,
buckle up, y'all, because this is where we get into some real shit right here. Feel me?
Absolutely. And this is like a rabbit hole, this project for me, because once I found 1 or 2 laws, yeah, I'm gonna stop the screen share for this because this took a lot of research to do that. And my job as a civil rights lawyer, you know, I'm a policy attorney mostly. So I actually look at laws, research laws, read laws, like sometimes 15 hours a day. And then I would come home and be up till like 3 in the morning researching more forbidden laws, coming across them. And like, I would, no, I need to sleep and do different things like that. But just knowing what our ancestors, like I always just imagine our ancestors being deprived of the drum. Like Khalil, imagine someone just taking away your drum and saying, no more, never again.
Right.
Or Rachel, someone saying, you can never dance. You can't dance the way you want, right? Like it would literally change your life. So I definitely wanted to dig deeper in that. So the earliest law I found was in Barbados in 1688. And maybe you can see it, but I'll read it. But it says, for the absolute necessary safety of this place. That's really important, meaning they weren't safe if we had our drums. That all due care be taken to refrain from wandering in meetings of Negroes and other slaves, especially on Saturday nights or Sundays, yada, yada, we turn up, we know that. And then it says mischievous weapons, blah, blah, blah. This is all the same sentence. Weapons and keeping of drums. So literally the same law that said we couldn't keep guns and knives and swords said that we couldn't keep drums. That's how dangerous it was for us to have our culture. Because there were, as it says here, there were tens of thousands of enslaved people who died in pursuit of our freedom and through many different rebellions that I'm gonna share as well. But some of these rebellions, they talk about how we use the drum to communicate and, you know, to build. So in the US, the earliest law found was in 1692. You know, in New York, you could be whipped for just making noise on a Sunday. And again, you see Sundays was the day we turned up. In South Carolina, where my ancestors were, you can see here, it said those who beat drums, blow horns, or use any loud instruments. It said even their master had to pay 10 pounds. So they fined the masters for even allowing us to play the drums. And then here, the same thing was in Georgia, but I wanted to lift up the story of one of our brothers, our freedom fellow, Eric Trapbone. I have the video here too, but I won't go into it, but he's actually still been arrested over 20 times for playing his trombone in the street of Atlanta. And this video here goes through last year when I flew out there and we filed a lawsuit against Atlanta police, the MARTA police, the several county sheriffs, because they arrested him and literally perpetuate this law from 1755 that said he couldn't play his horn. Our ancestors couldn't play our horns. So I want to go make sure we go here and honor our ancestors who fought for our liberation. You know, and as a freedom fighter who continues that tradition of fighting and resisting, to know that we're rooted in something that started literally right over 500 years ago, the first rebellion in Dominican Republic, as soon as they brought us here, you know, or what is now known as Dominican Republic. But you see there in Panama, Bayano wars. This is a really important point because there were thousands of enslaved people rebelling at one time. And if you have thousands of people fighting and dying, you call that a war. And I never knew that our ancestors were fighting that strong. But you see here, you know, in Veracruz, Yanga's revolt was one of the first free towns. In Jamaica and Barbados, lots of rebellions, Dominican Republic. But you see here, that's just the first 150 years. And these are just what I came across in my research. So there's a lot more. Barbados, Dominican Republic, New York, our Maroon rebellions went all over. Jamaica had probably the most rebellions were in Jamaica with the Maroons and the Quilombos, similar to the Quilombos in Brazil. On Christmas, there are a lot of revolts. Guyana had a cluster of revolts from 1750 to 1760. Khalil, I actually saw you had that picture in front of Kofi, the statue there.
Yes,
so,
sir.
you know, these, right? Mm-hmm. And our ancestors fought like hard. So it's really important that to know that the reason why they took away the drum was because we were fighting, we were winning, and I think we would have been free a long time ago if we would have had our drum. You know, if they wouldn't have been able to take it.
I say, because that's our identity.
Exactly.
That's the living memory and the literally the molecules of our ancestors. So when we're playing those rhythms and we're inviting and invoking the ancestral science, right? Mm-hmm. The sonic science of the melodies that come from our ancestors. That's our living memory. That's who we are. So you take the drums away, we lose our identity.
Right.
You know?
I mean, we would still, I could still know part of my history and who I was from, which tribe and all of that shit, right? Like if they didn't take that, that's how deep it was. They told stories, right? They tell, the drum there's languages, right? So it's definitely deep. That's why Khalil, like that knowledge you have is so valuable, and it's just so great to have a brother like you just sharing it in the way that y'all do it. But I wanted to show this because, I mean, just show the roots of the anti-Blackness and all over the world. But in 1854, the first printed documents referring to, you know, Dominican merengue, because merengue started in Haiti. But the first documents published condemned it for being African. And then in 1875, the president literally started a campaign to like end merengue. This is just ironic because you know now, you know any Dominican, right? It's like merengue is a prized treasure. And a lot of these prized treasures of places, even in Brazil, this is actually from the Brazilian Constitution, which is like, blew my mind. It's Article 402 of the Constitution. I had to translate it from Portuguese, but it said to do streets, basically to practice capoeira in public, you could get 6 months in prison, which in Los Angeles, you would have to like stab someone to get 6 months in prison. And it was considered aggravating circumstances to belong to like a band, to have a crew, meaning it's like a felony, right? This is the misdemeanor, it's a felony. But again, there's probably tens of thousands of people who go to Brazil now to experience capoeira. And just 130 years ago, and probably really just 60, 70 years ago, I'm sure, you know, it was criminalized. St. Lucia was the same, you know, up until the 1920s in the Caribbeans. And this is unfortunate because you saw actually Black people perpetuating this. They embedded it so much in our head that we were taking away our own drums. In Cuba, President Machado, who's actually buried in Miami, is a lot of Cubans, when they flee Cuba, a lot of white supremacist Cubans specifically are in Miami buried. But this president actually banned bodily contortions in the drums of African nature, which again, Afro-Cuban traditions are like the strongest Cuban traditions we know now, some of the strongest, right? So, but 100 years ago, that's what we were facing. Trinidad and Tobago, the same thing. I was doing Carnival, I guess about 8-9 months ago, and you know that was illegal 60 years ago. And I talked to people who couldn't do Carnival or play the steel drums and different things when they were children. And last but not least, I think really most ironic is these laws. The colonizers took them to Africa eventually, and the kicker is some of these laws are still on the book today in Ghana and other countries, and we're definitely trying to remove them. But here in Nigeria, they enacted fees. You see there the dunun, the shekere, and different rhythms and different, instruments, you had to pay a fee if you wanted to play for any period. So freedom music and the uprising, and how we actually still carry on these traditions. I wanted to share a video here. And actually I've done so many more since then, and we have some with Extra Ancestral, but this was the first time that I took drums, or actually it's the first time I joined a protest during the uprising. And while it's low, I'm gonna stop the screen and stop the screen share and just talk for a second. But the first time I was actually invited to join a protest was this summer, right, or this year, right? Because we're in this year of the uprising. I think it was day like 10. And I would have gone before that, but I was just too busy. And I wasn't invited as a lawyer, which I'm usually invited. I was actually invited as a drummer. Someone said, hey, Amir, like, can y'all come? Can you just bring some drums and different things? And Project Knucklehead, we've been using bucket drums with our youth since we started, because it's just economical. It allows us to give a $7 drum set. So I joined, and it was a lot of power and a lot of energy that, definitely kept us going. So this is some of the footage we marched. This is the Board of Supervisors where we marched in front of, you see, can you hear it? There we go. Marching in front of the LA County Jail. That's where I was with Common at, actually. Indigenous drumming, sage burning, because these are sacred traditions. That's in front of LA. I gotta give a shout out to Angela, because I was standing on top of my drum pulling, a Bloco Beanie, the Angela I call it. I always pull that move out. But I wanted to share this because it actually, you see here, it made the headlines. It says hundreds of youth lead rhythmic protests at LA City Hall on Friday. And we've been doing our monthly protests. It's been kind of inspired by this as well. So in my opinion, it's not in my opinion. I mean, the ancestors, and definitely through Extra Ancestral, we are continuing the tradition that was forbidden for a long time. So every time I'm out there banging on the drum, I definitely take great pleasure with it as well. All right, continuing on. So now I want to go into just action and how you can get involved. I mean, many of you are activists and organizers and doing stuff anyway, right? But I want to just share more about what specifically we're doing and how you can get involved. And just also, I mean, it's election season coming up, right? Different ways to vote. Shout out to everybody who watched that vice president debate. I can't watch any of that. I sue the government. That's my democracy. But 2 links here, or you can really just go to projectknucklehead.org, but projectknucklehead.org/action, which I'll take you to in a second. We have different things from petitions you can sign at the federal level, at the state level here in California, but also at the local level. Then also just ways to vote that would do something, what we're fighting for, which is the abolition of state violence. So you see our Freedom Fellows here, and Marche right here, who's wearing the Free the Youth shirt. First of all, they love Extra Ancestral. They're like fans for real. And them seeing the female drummers like change their life, because Marche in particular couldn't drum in high school, her high school music class. She wanted to, but she had a sexist teacher who told her girls, should play flutes and different things like that. And Marche's a revolutionary, so she didn't take that shit, but she takes pride in drumming. I like this picture specifically because, I'm over here in the corner. I'm just let them have the stage. I'm just back up, but they're actually looking. This is Maya, which many of you have danced with and seen. They're looking at white supremacists and Blue Lives Matter protesters to the left over there. And that's why I'm also over there for like their extra protection. And they have their sticks, they're not drumming, and they're dealing with it the way, our ancestors deal with. And these are girls, they're all teenagers. Maya just graduated last year, Marche the year before that, and Kalila is still in high school now. And what we did through Project Knucklehead is we received a donation for our largest donation ever. And I used it to hire 14 young Black artivists, right? They're artists and they're activists. Maya's in the dance, Marche's in the fashion, to do stuff like this and organize. And we've been doing it This is their school board. This is actually where I met both of these young women as teenagers. They're still teens, but when they were 16 or 15, freedom fighting with them. And Kalila as well. And check this out. This was that day as well. You see, they're actually in the newspaper. It says LAUSD students chant and dance outside LAUSD headquarters. And there's Maya there. And, you know, she teaches dance with them as well. That's Kalila, another one of our Freedom Fellows. So they're literally doing traditions that our ancestors couldn't, right, to fight for our continued liberation. And I wanted to give a shout out to Kalila, who, if you pick up this week's People magazine, you will see her in there. You'll also see the Freedom Fellows in our drum, you know, they're drumming in the background. So this just shows like the Afro future is very bright, and I'm just so inspired by the youth. So we do our Freedom Fridays actions, which started with just Evan and I, just two men, you know, like all it takes, we had to go out there to make sure it was safe, to bring young people out. And, you know, Evan and I did that, I guess, over 3 months ago. And I've been out there pretty much every week since then. But we do our monthly marches against state violence. And oh my gosh, when Extra Ancestral and Bloko Bini just came through and blessed us with the initial inauguration, lit the streets on fire. So we thank y'all for that, but we'll definitely be having more in the future. And if you want to drum with us, you can sign up here at projectknucklehead.org/drumforjustice. I mean, everyone here can basically just come through, like we'll always have drums. But I want to go through this Project Knucklehead page really quick to share some of the action steps, and then I want to just open it up for discussion. So projectknucklehead.org is the website. And it has different things if you want to follow us on social media, support us, learn more about our programs and different things. But if you click action right here, it'll take you to our page. This is a really important point. I didn't talk about this right here, this abolish state violence. Like that's our mantra in our movement and what we're trying to do. So, you know, we're in California, and one of the earliest forms of state violence here was a policy called California genocide, where both federal and state law required the killing of indigenous people and actually rewarded $15 for each person that we slain. Not we, but white people, right? So violence, state violence, government state sanctioned violence is what took the life of Breonna Taylor, what took the life of Dejon Kizzy, Ahmaud Arbery. It's also what separates families through ICE and other forms of detention. So when we say abolish state violence, we're talking about complete abolition of these systems that our ancestors did not have. Our ancestors did not have jails and cages. Our ancestors didn't even have borders, right? They just had different ways of doing things. We've always been saying free to youth. And actually, I want to show my shirt right here, which if you see me in class, I probably had this shirt on, free to youth. It's like, I made this shirt years ago as an abolitionist and it stands for free to youth. You see the hand behind chains, but it's freedom from these cages that, again, our ancestors didn't have, and the juvenile justice system has only been around for about 120 years. So we did things before we put children in cages. So freedom from cages, but freedom of expression, right? And that's another form of freedom that is sacred. It's through freedom of expression that we're all creatives. That's how we found our identity, right? And children should definitely be afforded the same opportunity. So that's what we mean by free to youth. And by abolish state violence, we want to free all youth. Free them all, just a lot. Care, you see here, care not cops. And then reimagine LA or Measure J, that's what you can vote on November 3rd. So this is the action page. Please sign our petition here to free Trap Bone. We haven't even launched it yet. We just put it on the page and we already have over 100 signatures. But it's not just free Trap Bone, but it's for arts, not arrests, and different things we're trying to get in Atlanta. Federal, this is a big one, the Supreme Court. A lot's at stake there with the Supreme Court. So there's a petition for that. There's also a petition for the Breathe Act, which Project Knucklehead is a community sponsor of. Neither Joe Biden or of course not Donald Trump, would support this federal legislation. That's really our modern day Civil Rights Act. It's by the Movement for Black Lives, which is, Black Lives Matter and other organizations. So sign and support that. The Counseling Not Criminalization Act to get police out of schools, And then here's just a resource for Black Joy, man. Just get your Black Joy. That's a form of resistance, right? But all sorts of actions that can be taken here to stop ICE transfers, honor lives lost. I know, shout out to Extra Ancestral. I know y'all be doing that with them as well. But that vigil for the many people dying who are incarcerated through COVID-19.
We're going to be.
And then here we talk about some ways you can vote. This election in California, you know, what we suggest is no on Prop 20 and Prop 25, and you can click and find out more, but we do support Prop 17, which would restore the rights of people on parole. And then here in LA County, since I imagine most of you are here in LA County, are some important resources and links that, you know, just go more about the state violence that we're trying to fight, whether it's through immigration, through punitive sheriffs, and through different things. And then here's just know your rights materials, because you got to stay strapped, man. Like, you got to know your rights as a protester, know your voting rights. We have the right to be free from discrimination. And I share with Marche that actually when her music teacher told her she couldn't drum, that's actually unlawful. You can't treat students, or really anyone, by gender. You can't treat someone based off their gender. A Title IX complaint would have like ate his ass up quickly. But immigrants' rights and just national student rights and all sorts of stuff. So those are our know your rights stuff. You can sign up to volunteer or contact us here, and just want to talk about, share our projects really quick. We have our music and art projects. This is, we started in a juvenile facility in Miami. We had them create The World Is Mine on their mural. Beat Buds is our medicine music beat making program, because I'm also an educational psychologist, and created a model where beat stands for behavior, emotions, attitude, and thoughts. And that's just trying to take that, you know, knowledge our ancestors knew about how music connects to our higher self and our emotions, and really make it explicit. This talks about our Freedom Fellows and our Freedom Fridays and Rhythms of the Exodus project and different things. But yeah, that's pretty much Project Knucklehead. And let me just make sure this presentation is over right here, which I believe it is. Cool. So now I'll stop it and open it up for questions. I know that was a lot of information, and my style is just blah, 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 but that was it.
Well, first, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Amir. I really appreciate the, I'm very much like the nitty gritty of things, and like to talk about things like that. It's beautiful to be an artist, and but so much about what we care about and how we move forward has a lot to do with policy, has a lot to do with our daily actions, has a lot to do with the details and the little things, how we spend our money, what we budgeted on, which can be even sometimes more important than what we say or philosophy. Not that that's not, it is, but it's also really beautiful to see the action steps, and also see the history in the rhythms, history in the uprisings, history and the need to study these things, so we can realize that these steps have always been necessary.
Sure.
And that we've always we need to constantly remind ourselves that part of these actions and these uprisings are where we need to honor that by knowing that where we are now is because of all those things that happen, and that we need to continue. And it's not just something that's happening right now, it's something that has always happened. And I just want to thank you so much, just before we get into any questions, because this is something as a nurse as well that I'm super passionate about, action and the details, and getting beyond just, you know, the gloriousness of art, which I'm also an artist and I love as well. But I really like to see the looks on people's faces, and I like to see the down-to-earthness of these types of things. So thank you. And that's just my thought for right now, and nothing will change.
Sure.
Yeah, Shay, I think y'all, man, because honestly, this journey, which is not done yet, I don't know what's gonna happen with it. And I didn't share, I wanna share the video maybe later if I had time, because, you know, I started traveling all over the world, and just in over 8 months, I went through 17 countries and took classes with over 50 folks. And I have the spreadsheets and workshops, but you two have definitely just been the most important and the most inspirational. Sometimes the most difficult, but definitely I wouldn't be the same person. I wouldn't be the same person if you know, I didn't meet y'all and encounter y'all. So I share and thanks to y'all too.
Sure. I share. Absolutely. Yeah, let's open it up. If anybody has anything,
I'll put it on the shared screen.
Any questions you want to ask, Brother Amir, any questions you have, any comments you may have towards anything that we're discussing, how you feeling, yeah, let's open it up. Let's have a conversation, you know, let's have an open dialogue. So just like raise your hand, you know, and just,
you can just talk.
Because I got questions for y'all if y'all don't have questions for me. I'm going to show y'all my research and ask y'all questions. So
I will definitely go to the site and find some things to get involved in. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks. Peace, Haywood. Thank you. All right. Well, I have two questions, at least two questions for y'all. Is that cool? Can I, you know, pick y'all brains a bit? Because absolutely. Part of this project, it's actually, right, I'm still connecting the knowledge and learning. So I wanted to show y'all the maps. Well, actually, yeah, I'll start with this. So I have to do another screen share here. And I skipped this in my presentation, just it was one of the slides that I skipped. But it says diaspora fact. You know, many names, popular music genres are derived from the Kikongo language. You know, the words rumba in Cuba, and samba in Brazil, tango in Argentina and Uruguay, cumbia in Colombia, bomba in Puerto Rico, but they left out Ecuador. And other places have seen, you know, like this is just the raw evidence. Like this is how they can't deny that tango has Afro roots, no matter how European they make it and how many white people you see doing it, right? I want to share the map again. Actually, here, the webpage is called upliftment.org, and it's where I have this map project because I'm still trying to uncover more styles of music and styles of dance. I'm really just scratching the surface with the dance. But here you can look by country, like someone call out a country and I'll share what we have for the research so far.
Guyana.
Guyana. So much more to go in Guyana. And I knew, you know, I was actually supposed to go to Guyana, this summer. Supposed to go back to South America and do like another South America quest because I know it's deep. And so far all we have with Guyana is Kwekwe. And if you go here and you put your mouse over here, it breaks it down in 2 languages. I had to do some work for this, y'all, so we could share it with our brothers around the diaspora, brothers and sisters. But here it talks about Kwekwe takes place on the night before marriage, an African Guyanese couple, and it talks about this tradition. And actually, I interviewed my stepfather, my godfather, who's from Guyana, and he talked about seeing this, you know, 60 years ago when he was still there. Before Guyana got independence, he was actually living there, and he talked about some of it. So you'll see that in the documentary. So yeah, clearly there's a lot more in Guyana, and so that's why I wanted to show y'all this, because if you know some, email them to me, let me know, you know, drop them in the chat. Someone else call out another country I wanted to show how we're just scratching the surface. If not, I'm gonna pick Jamaica because Jamaica is definitely where it's super deep, and most people can't, I wouldn't say, you know, fuck it, I'm gonna say most people, yeah, don't know the difference between reggae and rocksteady or roots reggae and ska. Like too many people just in dub and dance hall, they just think it's all sound the same just because you might hear a one drop or like a upbeat with the guitar strumming. Lovers rock, you know? But what's missing here? Or any comments on what's here? Or anybody want to see a definition?
I will say, since everybody's shy right now, I would say because Extra Ancestral, you know, we offering dub, we offering a dance hall right now. So let's talk about dance hall.
Dance hall. Now, dance hall is a controversial thing, right? Because we know, as it says here, like there were dance halls before, like there was a style of music called dance hall, right? And really there were dance halls, like I think as early as the 60s. So I got to correct this as well. But yeah, dance hall is something, I think dance hall is undoubtedly the most popular style of music in Jamaica today. Like you don't really hear, when I went out clubbing in Jamaica, and my host, like if he heard one drop or if he heard other stuff, he's like, no, we ain't going there, you know? But yeah, shout out to Ashley and the Afro Dance Hall. I was fortunate to take one of those classes. And as soon as I get back from my surgery, I can't wait to dance again. But dance hall is very deep, very. And dub poetry, I learned about that through this project. I highly recommend you check out some dub poetry, man. Jamaicans do it, man. Jamaicans just do it. So I have dance here as well, but on the right, but you can see, you know, it's just me fucking around. Like I put Cupid Shuffle and shit like that. Like I really have to do some thorough dance research. And actually Maya, she's getting paid to do the dance research, to connect it and connect the dots. And we're gonna work with you more on this. And just wanted to show that there are other types of maps. Like I have one that's just the Caribbean and Latin America, so you can see it by there. And then this is a very Negro-centric project. You know, I say Negro-centric, I'm a Negro, I acknowledge my bias. And most of the genres are American just because I know most Americans. Like, you know, we have G-Funk over here in California, right? That's one of the styles from California. By the way, G-Funk is still very popular in Latin America. It's a lot of G-Funk artists. But Negro spirituals, go-go music. I'm from over here where the P-Funk came from that influenced the G-Funk. That's my village over here in Jersey. But that's that. And we have a dance one as well. So I want you all, this is the last thing I'll share. If you go to upliftment.org/dance, and upliftment is more, it's broader than, it's under Project Knucklehead, but it's really broader. It's just like cultural justice. Because Project Knucklehead is about youth and upliftment is really bigger. So this is a page we haven't launched publicly yet because Maya's doing the research, and we want to have hundreds of these. But we're compiling dances, like this one is over 100 years old, it's called the Black Bottom. And you know, it originated in New Orleans. You've seen it, you see flappers, the 1920s, like Betty Boop, white woman still in the dance, but it's like a black dance. Of course, we know the Soul Train line, and Black Ranger was the dancer in Power Rangers. But we want to put like hundreds of dance so people can see things like here, the bop, which Maya taught a form of the bop at our last protest. You know, this looks very African, right? There are African moves that look just like that. And we want to explore that. The booty popping, I've seen twerking in like so many countries. Just so many. Bankhead bounce. So I learned this in extra ancestral class. That's why without permission, I put this GIF that has Rachel, you know, and Khalil bounce too. You know, but the bankhead bounce, right? That's that rhythm that you all taught me that, you know, just changed my life. So stuff like that is why like I lose my mind and start taking notes, and yeah, so it's so deep. So thank y'all for that. But I invite everyone to go here, and at the bottom I actually have this form where you can just put like styles and names that we're missing because there's so many. And then this is the list we have so far, and we have it by country, alphabetical order. Well, this is country alphabetical order from Argentina to Zimbabwe, I don't know. But it's also in alphabetical order by move. So like from A to Z, you can see. So just if you could check that out, you know, let us know. We got the Watusi and Whackin' and different things. But if you know dance moves or styles, please let us know, because we want to have this resource that might turn into an app. It might turn into just many ways for people to connect with information and, you know, learn about our culture. So those are my two questions that I have for you all. And, you know, yeah, I'm gonna open it back up or pass it back.
I'll share a thought. Can I?
Please.
So, like when the whole thing with like the uprise of the movement started, one of the biggest questions on my mind was that we talked a lot about, you know, having minorities come into the universities, right? Specifically for dance, because that's the career that I'm studying. But the thing that I will think in my head is like, okay, you know, there's a lot of things to be done, but us as a community, I feel like we also have to outreach to people that maybe don't have the access to dance. So like projects like this, I feel are super beautiful and inspiring to be able to do that, because sometimes we don't really need a lot of funding. We don't need big schools. We just need to make art a democracy, right? By whatever we have access to. So if we already have some type of knowledge and we go to a community that we're like, well, there's people here that cannot access a dance studio, for example, that cannot access dance classes. Let's meet at a park and let's create community and let's create something, right? So I always take this back home. I'm from Mexico, and I grew up in a really poor neighborhood. And that's something that I learned out there, right? Organizations are not, the government doesn't really provide anything for us. So we're very community-based, right? So just like hearing this whole thing and being so well organized and, you know, like Rachel said, just like taking action to it instead of, because we know there's change to be done, but knowing kind of where to take the path and learning about something that's already doing that, it's just very beautiful. So that's it. Thank you for it.
Yeah, Shay, thanks for sharing that. And, you know, think about it like this. All the dopest forms of expression, at least, you know, in our tradition, African traditions, indigenous traditions, they came about, the government didn't create hip hop or jazz or blues, you know, or merengue or salsa or capoeira, right? The dopest shit, like, it came from people in the streets, hip hop, right? My father was part of that first generation of people in the parks going there and doing it. And that's how we've always been doing it, you know? So thank you for sharing that. We have to hold on to that. And, you know, just, it's been so beautiful. Actually, I do want to share a quick clip before we leave that has some of the drumming the Extra Ancestral did in our first action, but also some of Maya's teaching, she's half Mexican, half Black American. And I've seen her teach everywhere from stars on the Hollywood Boulevard to on the steps of City Hall to on the steps of her school board to different parks. So we have to reclaim that space. Definitely.
And just one more thing while you're getting the video ready, and thank you, Teresa, for sharing that. And I absolutely agree. And one thing that I think too is that we need to remember, and I think that Amir, the fact that you've been able to research and whatnot regarding all of this shows that it's not going away and that it's valuable and that it's part of the fabric that makes us up as human beings. And of all the things that have gone away by the wayside, of all the things that have changed, our connection to music and dance is something that we seek out no matter what. So that means it is essential work and essential period.
You all are essential workers. Well, Rachel, you already was an essential worker, but like, yeah, you know, Khalil, you're an essential worker too, you know. I'm not an essential worker, you know. So yeah, dance.
You are though, you very much are.
You know,
I just really want to say that this stuff is it's part of what we need as human beings. So
yeah,
you gotta start changing that conversation as well, because we can see through your historical I don't know, 500 years, 400 years of research, very detailed, organized in every category imaginable in Spanish and English. That
Portuguese and Haitian Creole coming soon.
So yes, okay.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and I think not to give a spoiler alert of the documentary, which won't be finished for over a year anyway, a year and a half, but it concludes by saying, yeah, this stuff is too powerful for them to suppress. And like you two are like kind of the happy ending, like the evidence, like, look how they tried so fucking hard to stop it, but we still have Extra Ancestral in LA doing this, you know, so like, it's kind of like, it's the, you know, and it's going to end with our youth drumming in the streets with y'all too. So, all right, I'm gonna share some. I'm gonna just share this clip. It'll be the last clip, but it's definitely, excuse me. I want to say one of the most important days in my life. So thank you for Extra Ancestral for coming, Rachel, Khalil, Ashley, and others. And I encourage those of you who can come safely and join us in drum to do so, because to have our youth just connect with you all and, you know, just experience the power, just, yeah, it plays back in my head like a movie so often. So I'm gonna share some of this with y'all. See? And thank you all for tuning in. All right. There we go. Oh, wait. It says it pause. Let me try that again. Here we go.
Okay. Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor. Okay. Raydale Jones. Raydale Jones. Breonna Taylor.
Groove out, have fun with it, make it feel good, and come and do it, okay? I'll catch y'all
King, you know it. King already, you know it. Top everything, you know it. King already, you know it. My body's so got a king body. Body gon' shine, bling, bling body. Calling all the shots, ring, ring body. Crown on your head, got a king body.
She makes it seem like the rich melanin of her skin is a burden. Clearly a person.
Yeah, so let's give it up for Extra Ancestral, everybody, for joining us, man. Because y'all gotta realize we have privilege to have experienced and felt the drums, the bloco. Like when those drums hit and I felt it in my body and vibrations, it reminded me of what I hadn't experienced in months. And like, I know a lot of y'all can relate, like, and our youth had never seen anything like that. You gotta understand, like, they, you know, they normally don't get exposed to that sort of culture. So for them to see that and see it so powerful and so well done, and then know that it's connected to the tradition and it's like real shit. It's like, oh yeah, Amir just plays these bucket drums, but like they're speaking to the ancestors, you know. Like for them to hear that meant so much. So just eternal gratitude for that, y'all. Eternal gratitude. And those will be my last words, you know. Well, the last word is always free to youth.
Yeah. Free to youth. Yo.
Thank you for the inspiration, Amir.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Hayward.
I feel like we could talk so much. This always happens. Like we get started and it feels like we just started. You know what I'm saying? Amir, brother, it's always love, man. I'm so thankful to have a brother like you, you know, that, you know, we share vision and a comrade, and we fight for the same movement in different ways. And I just want to say I learned a lot from you too, brother. And you know, I appreciate you supporting me and coming to me for, you know, what I can share with my knowledge of the music and, you know, my lineage and my journey. But I just want to say that I've also learned a lot from you, brother. So, you know, I'm thankful. You know what I mean? And I'm ready to travel. Let's go. We got places to go.
Let's do it.
You know what I'm saying? We supposed to go to Cuba, man.
Absolutely. And I just heard about, yes, as soon as they let us go, we are going. Let's do it. Appreciate you.
So if there's any comments or any closing things that anybody wants to say, Amir, if you can, I'm gonna play a song at the end. And if during that time, if you could post links to your websites, to everything that you shared, and I just want to encourage everyone, please get involved. You know, I really like what that said and what Rachel's been saying. It's like it's about action steps, y'all. You know, and it's you know, our ancestors say that there's nothing new under the sun. You know, and actually, I want to read like halfway a quote from Nikki Giovanni, and she talks about how they stole our drums.
Nice.
Right?
I didn't hear that. I love her. And I'm writing this down.
And let's see if I can pull it up. So it's a long quote. It's a long part of a long, you know, piece, but I want to touch on the piece that speaks directly to the drums. And it says if given scraps, we will make quilts, take away our drums, and we will clap our hands. You know what I'm saying? And I believe if you look at the African diaspora, if you look at the birth of La Clave, that's what it was. They took away the drums, so we used our hands, and we said, You know what I'm saying?
Yep, exactly.
And that clave is recycled through the African diaspora, whether it's 2-3, whether it was 3-2, wherever it lands on the African spectrum, but that's what it is. That's how Negro spirituals were birthed. That's how the power of word was birthed. That's how hip hop was birthed. That's how jazz was birthed. That's how rock and roll was birthed. There's not a genre in music that exists that didn't come from Africa. You know what I mean? So all of your research that you're sharing just is a clear display of that history. You know, and it's important that when we take the circle, for instance, and we dance in a circle, we go to the park, we do dunubas, we do ciphers, whatever it is. That's a tradition that we can't allow. With everything that's happening right now, we can't get away from that. We got to bring that back. We gotta go back to the park, like that said. Like, there's not always going to be funding. You know what I'm saying? We didn't need funding when we was in the street doing ciphers. Right. You know what I'm saying? We didn't need funding when we was over there just dancing, because that's what we do. You know what I mean? And also to pray, right? To pray. Now you look at all, you know, if you look back in civilization, and this is going somewhere else a little bit, but if you look at ancient civilization, you look at the highest buildings, right? The highest structures that were built. They were always to honor God, right? So we can't get away from that. We have to remember the power of spirit. We're human beings. We're connected forever to dance and music, to the vibrations that comes from this culture. And like Rachel says, you know, I'm a Negro too. I'm an African American too. So I'll speak for my people. But African, black is a stamp on the world. Our culture influences everything that exists. You can't deny that. And now the awareness of the oppression and the systematic oppression, a system that was built to function in that way is functioning that way. Exactly. So we have to reimagine, and we have to now claim our blackness and claim the strength and integrity of who we are. And that stamp will never go away. Our music, if we decided to take our music off of Spotify, off of iTunes, if we decided to stop acting, if we decided to stop entertaining, if we decided to stop playing sports, what would happen to the world? You know? So I think it's important now that we come back, and we always say, you know, the elders always say, go back to the roots. And right now, I just want to acknowledge that it starts with knowing your history, right? Going back to the roots doesn't mean that you gotta, you know, be a rocket scientist and you gotta be a priest one day and you gotta be a master of this and that. But going back to the roots is simply just knowing where you come from. Whether you come from South America, whether you're Indígena, whether you're African or whatever it is, but going back to the roots and understanding your history. And you'll find that the common thing that we all have in common, so we all have ancestors. About creating relationships. Allah Shuada. which in Yoruba language means coming together. You know, so the more we come together, the more we unify, the more beautiful life is. Because love is the only absolute, right? So so yes, if anybody has anything they want to say, sorry, I went on a tangent. You inspired
Nah,
me.
man, that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
And please share if anybody has anything to say. I'll play a song, and you know, after that, Amir just share all the links, and everybody just take these action steps, get involved. You know what I mean?
But before we play a song, I want to share something actually, because it was part of the journey too, and it relates to your energy. Because you talked with Nick about Nikki Giovanni out. You said, you know, take away our drums and we clap and stuff. This is Nuo. So you hear it. This is actually a steel drum, which, you know, that tradition comes from Trinidad and Tobago. But this is I bought this in LA for over $1,000. It's my most expensive instrument, and I have some expensive guitars, but there's only a few people in the world who know how to make these. And it's one of the newest instruments in the world. Just came out about 20 years ago, not even. In Trinidad, they started doing this, right? They started taking steel drums and making the steel drums. But when I went there, I found out some people, they don't even call the steel drum. They call it Ogun. Because they look at it as the manifestation of Ogun, where they took away the drum and we couldn't have our drums. They use steel, we use, you know, tap dance, we use our feet, we'll slap our bodies if we want to, we'll do anything. So I just wanted to show Ogun with y'all there too, you know.
Shit. See, this is what happens, y'all, when you get me and Amir talking.
Their official name is the Tangent Twins now. The Tangent Twin 1 and Tangent Twin 2.
But yo,
when
Amir.
these two get together, they woo!
But Amir, I got a brother that actually he makes those.
What?
I got a dude. So let's connect on that.
Absolutely.
Let's connect on that. So please, anything anyone want to share?
I think like all the conversations, you know, also we are here to thank you. We're here to learn from one another, and each one of the things that we do, whether it be Baba, whether it be his daughter Shafari, who we had, I believe at the very end of last month, Fayomi, whether it be we're going to have a Manding music class. Every month is a little bit different, but if you've been studying since the beginning, you can start to see the ways that all the dots connect. All the information is there, and I'm very big on this point that it's us creating a relationship with the information. It's all about practice. So the information is out there in the world for us all. We can Google anything, we can do whatever, but the biggest thing about moving forward in our own lives is creating a relationship with that information. A lot of the information and a lot of the messages repeat. May it be a West African song class, Afro-Cuban song class, Afro-Brazilian song class. You will hear a lot of the same things. You will hear a lot of similarities. Your relationship will be different to it, and the way in which it enters your body, mind, spirit will be different. Sounds kind of hippie, but it's true. That not all information is read, not all information is spoken. Some information is danced, some information is felt, some information is sung. But all the things that are transmitting are ultimately to bring you back to yourself. That's it. Whether Amir talks about how rhythms go from here to there and back again and all in between, it's to bring you back to yourself here and now. Whether it's a Manding song class, whether it's Afro-Brazilian dance, whatever it is that allows you to create that relationship, that allows you to have a dialogue with your spirit, with your Ori, with whatever. So over the last 6 months, I hope you guys have enjoyed whatever that is, may it be through a lecture, may it be through a spiritual leader that we've had, may it be through sharing time with a friend on the platform and dialoguing with somebody else. Whatever it is, that's the mission here. As many ways as possible for you to enjoy a little bit more your time on this earth and find a little bit more purpose. So.
Okay. All right, y'all. This presentation has been recorded, and Brother Amir, with your permission, we're gonna share this on the band, and it'll be unlisted on on the YouTube, but you know, we'll send the link to people who are supporting the platform. And really, you know, it's not about owning the information. It's just really about action steps. That's all for me. You know, it's beautiful to be out there and talking the talk. It's beautiful to be on Instagram and sharing memes and, you know, whatever it is that you're doing and sharing pictures and stuff. But like sometimes you got to get out there and do the real work. And I'm thankful for brothers like Amir who inspire me, and who works with me as well to continue to get out there and take action and utilize our reads and our skill set to really speak to everything that's happening right now, you know? So all right, y'all. Thank you. I'm gonna play a song that I'm feeling right now, and it's kind of speaking to what's going on. You know, greet each other, say what's up, whatever it is that you do. Amir, you know, I think you're sharing all the links. And yeah, y'all, we love to see y'all out there in the streets, you know what I'm saying? So please join us soon.
Absolutely. And I did want to say our next march is, I guess, in 2 weeks. And we're having a Freedom Fandango. So Fandango, you know, it's the Son Rocho music from Mexico. And we're marching to ICE. So it's about abolishing ICE since it's before the election. So please come out. We're going to need a lot of people to shut down the street.
Okay. For sure.
Follow Amir. Follow Project Knucklehead.
Yeah, I'll drop those links in there as well.
Bless.
And feel free to leave as you guys need. We're going to end with this, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Song will play. Enjoy yourself. We'll see y'all soon.